Whoa, Lord, come on. Whoa, Lord, we need you. Whoa, Lord, please come now. You don't have to stay long. You don't have to stay long. Just say it again. Whoa, Lord, come on, y'all. Come on, we need you right now. Whoa, Lord, please come now. You don't have to stay long. You don't have to stay long. Somebody needs you right now. Somebody needs you right now. Whoa, Lord, come on and feel. You don't have to stay long. Yeah. You don't have to stay long. Somebody sing, Lord, right now. Somebody sing, Lord, right now. Whoa, Lord, somebody sing now. You don't have to stay long. You don't have to stay long. Well, we need you to stop by right now. We need you, Lord, right now. Somebody needs you right now. Oh, we begging you right now. If you're waiting, clap your hands. If you're waiting, clap your hands. Oh, we need you right now. Oh, we begging you right now. Oh, feel me. Feel my cup, Lord. Lord, I need you. Feel my cup, Lord. Right now. Right now, Lord. Come on, we need you. Right now. Lord, I need you. Right now. Well, come on. Come on. Come on. We need you. Come on. Come on. Right now. Right now. We need you. Right now. Anybody out there tonight? I know that you need the Lord. Come on. Come on. I need you. We need you. We need you right now. We need a blessing now. We need you to come on, Lord. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. We need you. We need you. We need you. We need you. I need you right now. I need you in my home. I need you right now. I need you in my home. Come on. Come on. Anybody out there tonight? I know you need the Lord. Need the Lord to touch you. Come on and love him. Come on and touch him. Come on. Come on. We want to thank God for everything thus far. Now it's my happy privilege to turn the service over to the hands of our pastor. Give her a great big amen as she comes.
Well, the Lord is good, isn't he? I wouldn't trade him for nothing in this world. He gets better every day. I'm preaching tonight about deliverance. Everybody needs it at some point in time in your life. And as I thought about it, I was reminded of Clint again today and Kendrick and what God has done for these men. And David called this afternoon and said, Mama, how's Clint? Did he get to church? I said, yeah, he got here. He danced the whole time. I wanted to get here. I missed the first dance, but because I love to see him dance and worship God. And it's amazing. I said, the way they have to suppress their emotions in prison, people doing you bad and you can't really respond. I remember and I'm reminded because it bothered me so bad when Clint told me this one time when I went to the prison. He said, Mama, I was sleeping in the bed, not getting in no trouble, none, just sleep. The guard comes by and kicks him under the bottom of his feet. And I said, Lord, let me get to Capitol Hill, please. Give me that opportunity to testify of the abuse. Nobody's doing anything to you or nothing. You just want to kick my feet for no reason while he's sleeping. Just come by with them combat boots on and kick me in the bottom of my feet. It takes the grace of God. For me not to bother you in any way, and yet you attacking me. It's unbelievable. The abuse in this country, be it in a prison or wherever it may be, abuse is horrible. When you abuse somebody for no reason, even when you have a reason, it's not right to abuse people. But every time I think about it, I thought, I want to testify about that. We wonder why the morale and all this in the prison is where it is because you get so much abuse in there. Not being treated right. Cutting you down for no reason. My mind somehow can absorb it all. Because I don't think it's good for you to misuse somebody even if they've done you wrong. But to see this, it's just unbelievable. And he was just laughing. He just as happy cooking that omelet on that poor little burner. He's just happy. I'm fixing this. And he said, what you want to do is make your little sauce to put over it after you cook it. I told him, he said, what kind of sauce can I put on mine? The Mama, you don't like sauce? I said, yes, I do. I want you to get them that, what do you call that red stuff they put on tacos? Salsa. I said, get me some hot. Mama, I don't take it hot. I said, I know you can't take nothing, at least if it's mild, I can take it hot. But it just made me think about it today. I thought, I'm having that tomorrow. So help me. But I want to talk to you a little bit tonight because I'm reminded of the times that I was expecting God to do something a certain way, and he did not do it. I'm reminded that if he takes another way out, one that not necessarily you agree with, but he takes another way out, we are so blessed. And I'm going to read the scripture first because I got a lot of things in my mind. I'm in Daniel, the 3rd chapter, 13th verse. Then Nebuchadnezzar, in his rage and fury, commanded to bring Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Then they brought these men before the king. And Nebuchadnezzar spake and said unto them, is it true, O Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, do not ye serve my gods or worship the golden image which I have set up? Now if ye be ready, that at what time you hear the sound of the cornet and the flute and the harp and the sackbut and psaltery and declamer and all kinds of music, you fall down and worship the image which I have made, well. But if you worship not, ye shall be cast the same hour into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. And who is that God that shall deliver you out of my hands? And Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful. We don't even think about answering you in this matter. If it be so, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the fiery furnace. And he will deliver us out of thine hand, O king. But if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. Then was Nebuchadnezzar full of fury, and the form of his visage was changed and against Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Therefore he spake and commanded that they should heat the furnace 7 times more than it was wont to be heated. And he commanded the most mighty men that were in his army to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and to cast them into the burning fiery furnace. Then these men were bound in their coats, their hosen, their hats, their other garments, and were cast into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Therefore, because the king's commandment was urgent, and the furnace exceeding hot, the flame of the fire slew those men that took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And these three men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, fell down bound into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. And then Nebuchadnezzar the king was astonished and rose up in haste and spake and said unto his counselors, Did not we cast three men bound into the midst of the fire? They answered and said unto the king, True, O king. He answered and said, Lo, I see four men, loose, walking in the midst of the fire, and they have no hurt, and the form of the fourth is like the Son of God. I want to preach to you a little bit tonight that when the devil raises the heat on you 7 times hotter, it's only going to make you better, not worse. So sometimes we look at a situation and we think, you know what? This is one of those things that, how are we going to get through this? How do you heat a furnace 7 times hotter, and the people that's going to throw you in is literally destroyed by the heat of the fire? Now, you can either get scared and run away from it, or you will stay put and go through it. And they went through it. Could God have delivered them that they didn't even have to go through the fiery furnace? He could have. He could have fixed it where no matter what they say, you know, you're not going in there. He's God. He can do anything he wants to. But now he's looking at this situation, and he didn't tell them, I'm going to save you out of the fire. They said he will. They didn't have a word from God that says, okay, don't worry about it, and the fourth man's going to appear in the fiery furnace. They didn't have any of that on hand. But they believed in their heart that God would take care of them. And then I love this part when they said, Be it known unto you, O king, if he didn't deliver me, I am still not going to bow to you. If we had more people like that today said, no matter what, I'm still not going to bow to the devil. I'm still not going to walk away from God. I'm still going to stay true. Understand, the thing we want God to do is stop the situation. Stop this. That I don't have to go through this. So I'm asking him to, God, remove this mountain. He said, no, I want you to climb it. So I don't know how to climb a mountain. You're getting ready to learn. I want you to climb it. I don't want to move it out of your way, because you're going to become stronger with knowledge and power if you climb that mountain. I read about the people that do mountain climbing, and they could do it a lot faster and simpler, but they don't do it because they didn't learn nothing from it. So what they did, they go through all this process of climbing the mountain, because while they're climbing, they're gaining experience. They're gaining knowledge. So the thing that God put us through, we're gaining knowledge. We're gaining understanding. And so if you've never been through it or understand what he's doing, you're going to learn through that process. When God wants to teach us something, he's not going to prevent us from certain things, but he will take us through it. So if I know he's going to take me through it, then I don't have to worry about anything else. No matter how bad it looks, how desperate it looks, or how it looks like there's no way out, there is a way out with God. When I look at this, I'm reminded of our men leaving us. I wasn't at the courtroom. Nisi and some of the Tisha and different ones were there, watching them put them in handcuffs and chains as if they were vital criminals. And it was hurting them to no end. And why are you shackling them? Where are they going? Where are they going? But when Nisi got back home that night, she was tore up. Her breathing was so unstable. I remember her laying on my bed with me, and we had to pray for her because her breathing wasn't. I don't believe I just saw what I saw. How can they do this? And then rejoice with it. People in the courtroom were saying, yeah. And when the judge, she pronounced the guilty verdict, and she looked at each one and said, guilty. And I thought, God's going to put that guilt right down your throat. Just like you spit it out, he's going to put it back. And it was always that look of guilty. Count one, guilty. So glad to do it. But you know what? I am convinced over the years that I've been saved, when the enemy think he's trampling you to death, God is there looking out for you in spite of that. Don't worry about if the fire gets hotter. Just be willing to go through it. Who would have ever thought the fourth man, which was Jesus, show up in the fiery furnace? This had never happened before. So it's not like you can make reference to something that he was in the fiery furnace with these people. You had none of this. None of this that you could draw from and say they've done this or done that. You had nothing. But they believed. And when they tied them up in their coat, they really wanted them to burn up really bad and with all the clothes on and bind them up and put them. And when they went into the fiery furnace, instead of the heat destroying them, they fell down on their knees. You can't fall no lower place than your knees. When you fall down on your knees in the midst of trial, in the midst of the test of your life, let me tell you, you're going to come out good in spite of it. At this point, I'm not even sure they even saw the fourth man yet. But all of a sudden, why has this fire lost all its heat? Why are we not burned? We didn't even have the smell of smoke on us. That's how much God was in the situation. So when God is in the situation, I don't care how it looks at the beginning, your end is going to be better than your beginning. It's going to be better. I said to them one time, you cannot go through an extreme trial without having extreme blessings. The blessings come afterwards. We all want to be blessed, but we don't want to go through what it takes to be that, to be blessed, to have that. Somebody will look on their life and say, you know what, they got everything. You don't know where we've been. You don't know what we've been through. And the pain and the agony and the suffering, there's nothing like it. Nothing like it. I remember going home, being at home that night when they came and we were talking about it, and I couldn't take, my heart was breaking inside of me because I really truly believed that God was not letting those men go to prison. I truly believed it. I said, no, I don't believe you're going. I didn't believe it. And when it happened, words don't explain it. All I could hear myself saying, God, I told them they would never go. I said they would never go. How did this happen? Crying my heart out. God, I told them they didn't never have to go. I didn't believe you would let them go. Please. My heart was killing me. The pain, the agony, the feeling of, did we not win? We won, though it didn't look like it. I remember trying to understand it, trying to sort my way through this. And God hadn't said to me, Rose, they're going to have to go through. He never said it to me. And therefore, I believed that they were going to come out okay. They were so good in the courtroom until the prosecutor on lunchtime went and got him a drink. He should have choked off of it. He goes and get him a drink. By the time he come back, he's smelling like whiskey. He didn't anticipate these men being strong like that because people just not strong. They kind of get into a position and they stay in that position and they're okay until the rain comes or the storm comes. You don't know who you are till the storm comes. You don't know who you are till you go through the fire. See, you don't know who you really are. The scripture says, if I faint in the day of adversity, my strength is small. So if I faint when things are going bad, when things are tough, when I can't see my way out, if I faint, if I give up, I don't have no strength. A man is judged by the strength he has according to how much he endures pressure. Pressure is what's going to make us, put us in the pressure cooker. Yeah, no matter what, you're going to have to go through it. I am convinced that a lot of people will never get to heaven because they're not willing to go through the fire. You must go through the fire to be ready for heaven. You must go through the flood. You must go through people lying on you, talking about you, putting you down. You got to be falsely accused. All these things, that goes with the territory. And if you can't take that, you'll never get to the kingdom. Because all these things make us. They make us the person God wants us to be. We think that we know ourselves. We really don't until we go through it. So he pushed you through it. So he's looking at Nebuchadnezzar and, at Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. He wasn't about to let them down. Because you said you know. And even if you don't, God, I'm still not going to do it. I'm still not going to bow to the devil. I'm not giving in to that. No, I can make this. I've said my whole life I can make it. When I was in the projects of St. Louis, Missouri, I believed in my heart that I could make it. When there was no real role model to look at and say, they got out. I didn't see anybody who got out. But deep inside of my heart, I knew I'd get out. And Charles's cousin said one time, you remember telling us when you was in your teens, I'm going to get out? I said, no, I don't remember. Yeah. You used to say that all the time, I'm going to get out. But I believed that. Even though nothing looked like it could happen that way. We got to quit just believing something if we see it. This is a faith walk. We walk by faith, not by sight. We're walking trusting God when we don't see anything out there that says God's going to do it a certain way. I still believe you. I still trust you. No matter what, I trust him. Understand this. Oh, for sure. I thought about the prophet Jeremiah. They put him in the dungeon. And you know what? He had just told them some truth they didn't like. So I wonder if they ain't put me in a dungeon by now. Yes. Listen what he did. Thus saith the Lord, he that remaineth in this city shall die by the sword, by the famine, by the pestilence. But he that goeth forth to the Chaldeans shall live, for he shall have his life for a prey and shall live. Thus saith the Lord, this city shall surely be given into the hand of the king of Babylon's army, which shall take it. Therefore the princes said unto the king, we beseech thee, let this man be put to death, for thus he weakeneth the hands of the men of war that remain in this city. Because he said, you're not going to win anything. He's weakening the people, they say. Then they says, goes on further to say, for this man seeketh not the welfare of this people, but the hurt. How is it that truth, people take that as that they're trying to really put me down? No, I'm trying to tell you where you're going and where you're not going to go if you don't get a hold to God. Then Zedekiah the king said, behold, he is in your hand, for the king is not he that can do anything against you. Then took they Jeremiah, cast him into the dungeon of Michael, the son of Hamikah, that was in the court of the prison. And they let down Jeremiah with cords. And in the dungeon there was no water, but mire. So Jeremiah sunk into the mire. Can you believe this? This dark hole. There's no water in there. And at the bottom of it is nothing but mud. And they let him down by cords for telling the truth. They let him down by cords, and he sunk into the mud because there was nothing else down there substantial. So listen to this. It says, now when the Ethiopian, one of the eunuchs which was in the king's house, heard that they had put Jeremiah in the dungeon, the king then sitting in the gate of Benjamin, went forth out of the king's house and spake to the king, saying, my lord the king, these men have done evil in all that they have done to Jeremiah the prophet, whom they have cast into the dungeon. And he is like to die for hunger in the place where he is, for there is no bread in this city. Then the king commanded the Ethiopian, saying, take from hence 30 men with thee, and take up Jeremiah the prophet out of the dungeon before he dies. The way that God sends deliverance to us varies from time to time. Nothing is exactly the same. What he did with this situation, what he's going to do with yours is totally different. But he will deliver. He will set you free. He will bring you out. No matter how much the devil meant bad for you, God will bring you out. So now this man gets concerned. He goes to the king and said he's going to die in that hole. There's no bread there. There's no water. He has been there for a while. At this point, he's concerned that any minute he's going to die. I'm going to the king. You don't know who's going to the king on your behalf. You don't know who's going to talk to God on your behalf. And say, you know what, I went to God for you, and God, he worked a miracle for you. Yes. I tell you, I ain't praying for nobody that God is not going to do what I ask him to do. Yes, he will. He promised to do it. If I trust him, if I walk right and do what he wants me to do, if I command it to be done, it will be done, just like he said. It didn't happen right away. Could God have saved him from the dungeon? He sure could have. He could have fixed it where it never happened. If he wanted to, he could have filled that dungeon up with concrete if he wanted to. He could have brought it all the way to the top, that when they thought they put him down in there, he wasn't all the way in there. God got so many ways of coming and delivering his people, but you rest assured there's deliverance for those who are serving God. There's deliverance. God will come to your aid no matter what. When people laugh at you, make fun of you. Yeah. My son Lamont said when he was in the prison, he kept filling out paperwork. He wasn't ever supposed to get out of prison. He had 7 years to life, meaning you're never getting out. There's no such thing. And he said he started writing letters to the court. It was God. See, the guards came around and laughed at him and mocked him and said, man, you better face it. You're not ever getting out of here. Mom said, I kept right on sending letters. You either tune into the devil or you tune him out. One or the other, tune him out. He said, I kept writing letters, and they kept laughing. You're going nowhere, man. Nobody's going out of here. He said, I didn't believe them. I thought about the things that Mama taught me all my life. You'd be surprised that the teaching you get is the thing that's going to help you to survive what the devil is doing to you. If you ain't never been taught nothing and never got no faith to believe God, never been taught it, never heard it, you're not going to make it. Understand. But he kept writing. He fasted. He prayed. He laid on the concrete. He learned how to fast and pray because he was my son. That's how he got through it. He said one day he was sitting there and somebody came down and said, Mr. Banks, your case been overturned. Once I knew it was God. But now, what do you got to say now, you laughing idiots? What you got to say now? You said it would never happen. You know, if you mess up and you make it right with God, God's going to come through for you. He's going to help you. Because it's his desire for you to have victory in your life. Not to be defeated, that we might cry out to God and praise him. I listened to that girl tonight. I don't know about nobody else. You may think, oh, she just really just going on. Honey, that girl praises God. Yes. She don't take anything for granted. She just said, I thank God, and she means it. It's coming from the depths of her soul. I believe God is working it out for me. And he's working it out if you believe him. It ain't over until he says it's over. I can tell you that right now. It's not over. No. God has to say it's over. Until then, it's not going to happen. See? I want you to understand that God is trying to reach out to his people and tell them, if you'll stand for me, I'll come through for you. I'm going to deliver you. The thing about it, we don't have the time element. How long is it going to take God to do this? We don't know. But we're going to trust him. No matter how long it takes, I'm going to trust you. When it looks like it's the end of the road, I'm still trusting you because you promised to bring us out. One way or the other, you're going to bring us out. And he is. He is. See? want you to understand what it means to go through it and say, yes, Lord. We like to say, yes, Lord, if everything's going good. But when things are going bad, we don't want to say that. I was reminded when I went to the hospital, when I was called to go to the hospital for Charles. And the Lord had showed me months ahead of time that he was getting ready to take him. But I figured, well, yeah, he's going to take him, but it won't be right now. That's what I said. It was shortly thereafter. And I remember going to the hospital, and he was hooked up to life support. And she said, your husband's already dead because he's brain dead. I knew what brain dead was. There's no function in the brain whatsoever. But somehow I believe that God would not take him away at this time. I believe that. Until the day that I went to that bed and said to the Lord, I ask you to spare Charles's life. But when I began to pull on him really hard, a steel wall came down. I'm not doing it, Rose. I'm not doing it. Can't do it. Why not? Why not? Can't do it. Couldn't pray past it. My son called me, David called me and said, Mama, pray. Hold on to Daddy till I get there, because he was in the Navy. And he said, hold on to him, Mama. I said, I can't. He won't hear me. He won't do it. This time, there's no deliverance coming here. God said, no, it's over. God help me. I remember coming out that hospital room, and my kids said, Mama, what? I said, he's not going to let him stay. What do I do? Well, there's nothing I can do. Life and death lies in his hand. He's either going to deliver him from where he's at, or else he's going to take him out. So he's made it plain, I won't leave him here. Not now. Sometimes those type things, they go deep into the soul. Deep into the souls. I know what you're doing. You're making the right decision, even though I may not understand it. I don't know why you're doing it. We got to quit believing. We got to know why God does what he does. Why he did it. He had a plan. He had a plan. And I had to resign myself to the will of God, as you do. Some prayers you pray, he's not going to answer that. He's not going to do it. And if he's not going to do it, you're not going to change his mind. This is something, Rose, that's in my will. It's I got to do this, and you'll understand it better by and by. As years went on, I began to understand and see it better. I didn't see it at first. I couldn't wrap my mind around this. Surely, God won't do this. My daughter said to me, Mama, what do you think? I said, I don't think. You think God's going to take him? I don't know. That's before I ever went to the hospital. They had the chaplain waiting in the room. I thought, I don't need that dead chaplain here. Let him go downstairs somewhere. Shoot. You don't have nothing to say to me, buddy. And Nurse Faith, I'll never forget her name. She said, Miss Banks, your husband is brain dead. There's no activity in the brain. If we unplug him from life support, he's going to stop breathing altogether because he's not breathing by himself. Okay. I may not understand it all. I remember the day that I was going to preach the funeral. I was down in my living room at my desk, and I was preparing the message. And I looked up to the Lord and I said, how did you take him? He said, I hardened myself to take him from you because I knew the agony and the pain you would go through as a result of it. But I had to do what I had to do. I didn't become less. My life became better. I got stronger. I got to the place that more and more I resigned to the will of God for my life, whatever that may be. But you know what? There's a lot of things going on in your life. God's going to make a change in it. He's going to deliver. But there's times he will not. And you got to accept that. You got to accept it. I questioned myself when I went to the house and found my daughter, and Jeanette was holding her head in her lap, and she was lying on the floor. And this is what I went back after the fact. I thought, why didn't I just get up off the floor? Why didn't I just get her on the bed and command this thing to go? Why did I not think of that? I wasn't supposed to. I looked at her, laying there. I only heard one sound out of her when I got to the house. And that sound was, I said, this is Mama. She couldn't answer me. I've seen death before, but that's something I was not willing to deal with at all. How would this happen? What's the reason? I don't know. But I know one thing. After going back, and I read online about this woman that had been in a coma for 7 months or 7 years, I'm not sure. And they wanted to disconnect her from life support because the doctor said she was done. And the mother said, no, you're not disconnecting her. So she moved her to another hospital. And she got there, and they said, well, really, there's nothing we can do. She moved her to another hospital. Do not take her, unplug her. Said, pull the plug. No, not going to do it. Took her to another hospital. Well, ma'am, it doesn't look good. It's plain that she is brain dead, that there's nothing left here. She said, no, I'm not believing that because my daughter got 2 kids at home and they're waiting on her. I'm not doing that. And held on to it. Held on to it. And the woman literally opened her eyes and started talking. Her faith done that. But it comes a time with all your faith. God said, I can't change it. This is my will. It must go this way. It must go this way. So now, Rose, it's 100% me and you. No Charles anymore. Okay. No Juana anymore. We let her stay in the hospital hooked up for 9 days. Praying and hoping that God would please. But when I left that house, I was almost convinced that she was gone, but not wanting to believe it. Because I've been around people that passed away, and when they set her up, her head fell forward like it was broke, just like that. I've seen it before. Then I heard this sound, they call it the death rattle, that comes in the throat when people are dying. And I heard that, I thought, no, couldn't be. And then Amos said when they got her in the ambulance, they stopped on the side of the road and began to try to resuscitate her, and they couldn't get no response. I still didn't believe it. I get to the hospital, sitting in the emergency room, and finally the doctor comes out and says, Miss Banks, best thing I can tell you is that these type of injuries to the brain is fatal. I still didn't believe it. I thought, I don't care what you say. I don't care because I know whatever's wrong, God can fix it. I believed that. So I went upstairs and I thought, Juana would not like me with her in this hospital. She would not want to wake up like that. I kept thinking she would never want it. I could hear her saying, Mama, why didn't you let me go to heaven? We had a little kid in the church, Brianna, a kid going on 50. And she said, why don't y'all let Miss Juana go? You know she'd rather be in heaven. I wanted to say, shut up. What are you talking about? You know what Miss Juana would feel. She'd want to go. Yeah, she sure would. But if I could keep her here, she wasn't going. But I couldn't keep her. I said, the doctor said, I said, okay, what's the sign that she's going to recover? And he said, if she opens her eyes, you'll know she's going to recover. Not true. So they called me from the hospital and said, Mama, want to open her eyes. And I didn't go to the hospital that night. I thought, no, I'll go tomorrow. When I walked in the room and looked at her, those wasn't eyes that were here. That look was so far away. When I said, she's not here. The doctor didn't tell us that now when the eyes, you look into the eyes, either there's life there or there's death. Those eyes were set, just like that, not moving. I said, no, that don't mean anything. That day, I said to the doctor, unplug her. He said, well, Rose, I'm going to tell you, if you do that, she's probably going to keep breathing for the next 2 weeks. I said, no, she won't. If she was going to breathe for the next 2 weeks, God would have already done it. No, that's not going to happen. He said, you really want to do it? I said, yes, I do. I want to do it. I said, he called me back. He said, Rose, it happened just like you said. We unplugged her, and she took 2 breaths, and it was over. I said, God wasn't going to let her lay there and suffer and go through a whole bunch of stuff. No, that wasn't going to happen. His will had to be done, but that wasn't going to happen. And sure enough, it didn't happen. So, but prayer in that situation was not going to change it. All the faith you could have wasn't going to change it. It is what it is. God said, this is a move I must make. You're not going to understand it now, Rose, but I'm going to talk to you about it later, which he did. You don't understand it. I said, Lord, you know what? Your will is something else. It's very painful. It hurts so bad. But I know you got to do what you got to do. Help me to look up and say thank you. Thank you. The Lord knows you're going to have some difficult days, Rose. I didn't feel any pain at the beginning. But as time went on, I began to feel the pain, as if somebody had given me a sedative that I couldn't feel it. Until God says, okay, now I'm going to fix this. So I'm saying to you, deliverance comes, and sometimes it comes now, sometimes it comes later, sometimes it doesn't come at all. You got to prepare yourself for whatever the will of God is for your life. He's going to work it out. He's going to work it out. He's going to give you the strength to go through it. He's going to put you through the fire, and the fire will not burn you. He's going to put you through the flood, and you will not drown. He's going to put you in the midst of the stormy winds, but it will not overtake you. Why? Because God already knew. I know Rose. I know her. She will never charge me foolishly for this. No. I said, God, I have to say thank you. Thank you, as hard as that is. Thank you. You got to understand, what God puts you through may happen for days. It may happen months. It may happen, as it did for Kendrick and Clinton, years. Now, is he finished? No, not by a long shot. He's still going to put him through another process. But this process strengthens you for that one. If you didn't survive this, you won't survive the next one. So every trial I went through in my life and everything I went through, for the moment, this one, I had to be victorious. I had to win. Because if I don't win this one, I'll fail for the next one. We used to sing a song about each victory will help you, some others to win. So if I don't have victory here in the small things, I'll never have victory for the things that are larger. And they're going to get bigger. You better be prepared. If you're going to serve God, they're going to get bigger. The furnace is going to be hotter than it was before. The storm is going to be beyond words. Understand it. This is so much. God, what do we do with this? I'm going to take you through it. They put Daniel in the lion's den. Those lions were meant to be hungry, and that anybody thrown into that den would die before they ever hit the bottom of the den. But what was so remarkable about that was that the king had signed a thing which, according to the law of the Medes and Persians, he couldn't change it. He signed it because the men set him up. And the king did not know it. But you know what? This king didn't even know God. You know what he did? he prayed, he fasted all night long and prayed that God would bring Daniel out of there. Did he deliver him? Yes, he did. Yes, he did. And you know what he did? After he done that, after they put him down in there and the king couldn't sleep that night, this is a heathen here who is praying and seeking God. He couldn't even sleep. He goes to the den that next morning and said, Daniel, Daniel, thou who servest the Most High God, did he deliver you? He said, don't fear, O king. These lions' jaws been locked up. They're not gonna have my servant for dinner. Lock their jaws. Nobody can do that but God. But watch how the picture changes. When the king brought him out and said, everybody need to worship the God of Daniel and what have you, and he said, take those men that brought this accusation against him and throw them in the den of lions and everything that pertains to them. Throw them in there before they hit the bottom of the pit. They ate them alive before they ever hit the bottom. Can you imagine Daniel sitting down there and they looking at Daniel? They can't do nothing to him. If you was hungry, they ain't going to help you with him. See? But he delivered him from it. I think sometimes we don't get deliverance because we're not actually acceptance of the will of God. What is the will of God for you? What are you getting ready to go through? Everybody's family don't turn on them because they get saved. Some people's family do turn on them. Some people just turn on you and treat you like dirt. All because you wanted to go with God. You shouldn't be over there trying to be holy and all this stuff. And you're going to get this. Are you going to be caught up in that? No, God will bring you out. He'll bring you out in spite of it. Oh, my God. There's so many things that we're going to go through in this life, and God will bring you through it. He will deliver you. He may not deliver you from it, but he will deliver you through it. And going through it is going to make you a stronger person. Your mind is going to be set on God. 54 years this year I've been serving God, but let me tell you, I've been through the fire. I've been through the flood. I've been through the stormy winds. When it seemed like, my God. Wanda has spent much time preparing for these men homecoming. She bought them all white suits and shoes and tie and everything. She said, Mama, when they come home, there's going to be a big celebration. It's going to be the best they ever had. She's not here to see it. We still going to do it. We still going to do it. We're saying we still going to carry it out, but Wanda, that was her goal. She said, it's going to be big, Mama. But the Lord says, but you won't see it. But it still be big. Somebody's going to carry on. You must understand, if God wants you to go through the fire, if he wants you to climb the mountain, you're going to have to climb it. We sing the song, Lord, move this mountain. And he said, oh, no, I'm not. You're going to climb it. Lord, please help me. Move the mountain, God. He said, I'm not moving the mountain. The mountain's staying where it is. I already put the mountain in place. Now I expect you to learn how to climb it. And what you learn from that is going to determine your strength in God if you can climb that mountain. Because once you get to the top, can't nobody tell you nothing. You say, I can go through anything. We have too many people that don't make it with God because they can't stand a little bit of pressure. Jeremiah said, if you run with the footmen and they have wearied you, you'll never contend with horses. So what you calling a trial, people going to say, the devil's really on my back. What did he do? Nothing. I said, you call that a trial? Because your paycheck was $3 short? I just told the Lord, I just had to tell the Lord, Lord, you help me. I thought, get out of here. What would you do if they took your whole check? You wouldn't make it. You cuss them out, get you a gun, go in and shoot them. Yes. But I got to be able to walk this walk. Stay saved in my soul. Love God more than I love anything or anybody. If you love him, you'll take anything. I don't matter what it is. I'm going to take this because I love him. I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to do what he said. Peter was put in prison. He didn't stay in long. Because the angel came and said, come on, Peter, let's go. Boy, would our guys have loved that. Let's go. Would I have loved that? Yes, I would have loved it. Wasn't happening that way, though. You can talk about what he did for Peter, don't necessarily mean it's going to happen for you. David said when they first got in prison, they're talking about, well, Paul, David said, I'm not Paul. Don't be telling me about what Paul did. Mad. You can't put me in a category with Paul. I'm not Paul. I'm just going to face what I am. So I'm not him. So how he took it, that's not for me. And God said, I'm going to work you through it, though. I'm going to work you through it. I said, David, the emotions that's coming from Clint is phenomenal. This is suppressed emotions. For years, you couldn't say what you wanted. You couldn't do what you wanted. You were in bondage. And now the tears just keep pouring and pouring and pouring. Because all this time, I couldn't let it out. I couldn't cry. And Wanda said when they put her in prison, she said, Mama, sometimes I wanted to praise God so bad it would get so full, I'd have to go to the women's restroom and just, It was so full. So, in prison, he made her stronger. She came out, Wanda was as bad as she wanted to be. Every time she sees something wrong, they stupid. That's what's wrong with her, Mama. Yes. Yes. She came out with a new zest, a new fight, strong, not giving in to nothing. Telling the devil he's a lie. Nisa and Lisa used to laugh at Wanda. It was how she be telling them, you're a liar. Get out of here. And if she didn't recognize him at first, as soon as she recognized him, she said, get out of here. And she started talking in tongues and praising God, and Lisa and Nisa looking like this. They got to go through the fire. They're going through some of this. They're feeling it. Nisi is a fighter in her soul. And the minute Clint came out and they started lying, she started looking up stuff, calling people. Look, I found this information. She's a fighter. We had a business, a boutique, and this lady we wanted to carry her designs in the shop, and she told Nisi, you're new in the business, and I'm not selling anything to somebody that's selling out of their basement. Nisi said, I don't sell out of my basement. She got mad. Nisa went in there and changed that shop around, built a wall inside, having built a wall in there and everything, and stocked clothes in there. It was once a salon. When she got through changing everything around, you don't tell me about that. We became one of her biggest customers. While she was down, she started in her basement. We weren't in the basement. That girl said, she don't tell me what to do. I will meet you at market. And went with confidence of Job, the revolutionary of Joshua. That girl was ready for fights. I'm not giving in. Don't you dare talk to me like that. She's a fighter. Lisa is too. Lisa comes from a different place. She didn't like to fight much because she gets out of control. Real, but she's learning. Just through dealing with these church people, she's learning. And Mama, I started to say that, but I said, no, I can't say that. You're right. So now it's teaching you something. How to be patient. Come on. My son David, his patience must have been about that long. He's got some now. Sometimes he get hyper. I'm sick of these people in here. I said, calm down. Calm down. You're going to be okay. God will work patience. You know how he worked patience in me? for church people? You know how that happened? Them 30-day fasts I went on. When you have to fast that long and can't eat, you're going to have patience. So if you're hungry, you're not eating for 30 days. Oh, you'll get some patience. And then you got to deal with hard-headed church people and say, so what did you do? Sometimes I grip my teeth back here. Here you go again. So I said, yes. Teach your Rose how to be patient. Because I was short patient too. But you know what? Y'all done a good thing for me through being crazy. I learn how to handle it. They're going to say some dumb things. That's why I got this word that I use all the time. Make me understand what you just said. Oh, Sister Rose, so-and-so. I said, make me understand that. Because that is just as stupid as it can get. And Lord said, you got to put up with the stupidity, Rose. Put up with it. God said, my people are stupid. That's in the word. He said, my people are sottish. You know what sottish means? Stupid. But now you're going to work with them. I come in here sometimes like, so what did I tell you? Yes, ma'am. Why didn't you do it? I don't know, Sister Rose. I done talked about this thing so many times, I'm tired of it. No matter how tired you get, you got to come back and deal with them. And Sister Rose, thank you for helping me. I'm thinking, I don't want to. But I got to do it. It's my job. Take a moment. They're going to do some dumb things today, tomorrow, next week. You're going to always deal with dumb things in churches. Can't get around it. You say, honey, did I tell you what to do? Yes, ma'am. Why didn't you do it, baby? I don't know, Sister Rose. I get back, I'm going to say, God, give me strength. Church people. It's the worst people in the world to work with. It's the truth. Paul went to prison many times, not just once. See? He wrote some of the epistles while he was in prison. We got Ephesians, we got Philippians, we got Colossians and Philemon. He wrote these things while he was in these different prisons. And the prison they put him in, some of them he stayed 5 to 6 years. But it was the worst type of prison. The final time in prison was called the Maynardine prison, called the House of Darkness. The House of Darkness. Few prisons were as dim and dank and dirty as the lower chamber that Paul occupied. The prison was dark, a terrible stench, gave it a hideous and terrifying appearance. You ain't been there yet. You ain't went to no prison. Somebody been to prison can tell you some things about it. My son haven't gone to prison. He knows, he got more knowledge of what they do, how the system works, how this works, how that works. He learned a lot. But he was on a concrete slab in the prison on his face crying out to God. This is where you're going to get to know me, Lamont. This is where you're going to understand. Sometime you got to go to prison. So I hope to God I don't have to go, because I would never survive it. If you want to walk with God, you're going to survive it. You're going to go in, you're going to come out and thank God. I understood Clint when he said this morning, I'm glad he knows my heart because I don't have words. I can't express it. I can't explain it. But I know he knows. Went through it. Joseph went to prison. God delivered him. These people got deliverance. He languished in an Egyptian jail for 2 years, awaiting trial before Pharaoh on a charge of rape, where he was accused of rape that he never did. You wonder sometimes why things are happening the way they happen. God's going to bring you out. I cannot tell you enough how much God will bring you out. He is a deliverer. The Lord is my rock. He is my fortress and my deliverer. He said, and even to your old age, I am he, and even to a hoar hairs will I carry you. I have made, and I'll bear. Even I will carry and will deliver you. When you can't do it by yourself, I'll pick you up. I'll take you where you need to go. If you want to serve God, get ready for the fire. Get ready for going through the furnace. You're going to go through it. You're not going to go to heaven while everybody else go through it. And you say, well, I went to heaven, honey. I didn't go through much of nothing. You're not going. You're kidding yourself. You're not going. We're going to heaven because he fixed us and prepared us for it and put us through the fire, put us through the chains and all these things and showed us something, taught us something. That's what you got to have in your life. What are you going to learn in life if you don't learn it the hard way? The hard way. I often think about Brother Simmons, what he went through, and his daughter by his first marriage. He loved her to death. She turned against him. I saw him. He came to our house one night with all the preachers there. We put our arms around him and prayed with him. He was weeping his heart out. Wasn't in church no time before Suge jumped out the window and died. You know who Suge was? Brother Simmons' dog. And they called him at church and said he needed to come home because Suge had jumped out the window. And oh God, the look on his face. Everything else is gone. Wife lied on him, talked about him, run him down. Children talked about him. And now Suge is gone. I mean, you don't want to lose Suge. Suge accept you for who you are. Suge didn't find no fault in you. And now she's gone. We had to pray much for him in the midst of our people turning on him, family turning. Rather believe a lie about you than the truth. So if you're going to serve God, get ready for it. You know, my little Jeannie, she would never do such a thing. Oh, yes, she will. My little Donnie, I love him to death. He would never. Oh, yes, he will. Your wife, the one you married, you love, you say she loves you. If you don't watch it, she'll take you to hell. You got to say, no, I'm not being swayed by anybody. I can make it. Because persecution, all that live godly in Christ Jesus shall suffer persecution. You can't get around it. You must go through it. So if you want to serve God, get ready. And those of you that sit on the church pew and should have been different by now and still the same, you're not going to heaven because God is bringing things against you to make you, and you getting around it. I'm walking around it. If I have to compromise and don't take a stand for the truth, I'll do that too. Some people are going to lose their wives. Some people are going to lose their husband. Some people are going to lose their children. Is that going to start? Paul said, I'm persuaded nothing going to separate me. Nothing in this life or the life to come, nothing is going to separate me. You have to come to God with that kind of mind thought, is that I'm not giving up God. If everybody turn on me, I'm not giving up God. If nobody treats me right, it's okay. Think about it. Are you ready? Say, God will deliver you. He sure will. Not the way you think. Not in the time elements you think. But he's going to bring you out. He's going to prove himself to you. You'll learn who he is through how much you go through. That's why today nothing shakes me. Nothing. You know why? I've been through some things. I've been climbing some mountains. I've been in the valley. I've been everywhere you can think of. But I'm still going. Strong. Not weaker. Stronger. Yes. So I want you to give it some thought. God will deliver you in his own time. And he ain't going to keep you from everything. You're going to have to go through some things. Going through the fire made a difference. Going through the flood because he didn't let you drown, but you're going to go through it. See? Jonah wouldn't listen to God. What did happen to him? God let a big fish swallow him up. You know you don't live in the belly of a fish. There he is rolling around in slime and all kind of stuff. Till he looked up and said, out of the belly of hell cried I. You're going to go through the belly of hell. You say, when do it stop? Here, you know what happened to me? Trials like this. Back to back, back to back. You ain't got a chance to say, Lord, please, you please help me get through this. Before you can get through this, you're going through another one, going through another one. But hey, I'd do it all over again to be saved. Yes. If you don't want to pay the price, baby, you might as well throw in the towel because you're not going to get there. You get there because I don't care what it takes. I don't care what happens. I'm going through it. I can win. Somebody's going to, your best friend may turn against you. This is my best friend. They really wasn't a friend if they turned against you. Stop and think. While you just coasting along, you're not going to heaven coasting. You got to go down and up and down and up. All these different things. But you can make it if you want to. I hope that you'll take this message tonight with you for the rest of the week and think when things happen to me, just call it the devil. You say, well, I don't know if it's him or not. Call it, because it says the devil until you find out different. Because in most cases, it is the devil. Fighting you on every side, trying to tear you down. Giving you a hard time. Don't take it. So I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it. So you know what? I'm going to be a strong man. I ain't getting ready to be weak to no woman. And vice versa, woman to a man. I don't just have to have you. I can make it without you. So many people, I can't make it without my husband. You in trouble. Well, that joker could walk in the next day and say, baby, you know, I've just been thinking, I think we need to separate. Why? I don't feel like I'm in love with you no more. And you sitting there talking, what are you talking about? What he said? I'm not in love with you. How'd you love me for a while, but all of a sudden you don't love me? Now they got somebody else they looking at. I told somebody that one time and said what their husband was doing. I said, oh, he's looking somewhere else. So I didn't ever think about that. I thought, how dense are you? How dense are you? Joke ain't no good. And it don't matter. People get divorced after 25 and 30 years. Come in, walk in one day and say, I found me a new love. Who is she? Looking like a Daffy Duck. I told Sister Daisy about her first husband. That joker, no, he wasn't no good. We go to his funeral because the Lord told me in prayer, said, his end is here now. He put a gun to his head and blew his own brains out after giving Daisy a hard time. We went down to Mississippi to take her oldest son to the funeral, and here come this hag in. He left Daisy for her. I thought, he left you for that? Looked like an old matron. It can't even walk straight. Shoes bent over outside, bow-legged, ugly, everything. Here she walks in. Daisy sitting there looking pretty, together. And she almost started crying. I said, don't cry in here. That joke ain't worth crying over. Slap your tears back up in your eyes. Said, no, you're not coming out here. I'm crying for. That joke ain't worth your tears. And Daisy looked over at me and said, Rose, I shouldn't be crying, should I? I said, you most certainly shouldn't. I don't care how much you loved him. He didn't love you. If he did, he would have never done to you what he did to you. Got this bent out old hag looking like she was 2 times, I don't know how old, looked like an old hag. Daisy sitting there looking pretty, trim, beautiful figure. She wished that was back, but it ain't here yet. But yes. And we walked that road together. I said, Daisy, but you can make it though. She loved that man. Had 4 kids by him. But he was a fool. And he told Daisy, look, I'm going to tell you right now, me and you ain't going nowhere together. If you go to heaven, I'm going to hell. God said, I'm going to give you your wish. When he put that gun to his head, and I went with her to see if it stuck hair in the hole inside of his head. And I didn't feel nothing but like, yeah, you got exactly what you deserve. Tell Daisy, Jesus gonna get you in trouble, girl. No, Jesus wasn't gonna get her in trouble. You in trouble. You in trouble. But she made it. Somehow, I made it. Through the storm and rain, heartache and pain, I made it. Come on, sing that song. I love this song. Think about it. This is your testimony. Somehow I made it. Kendrick, somehow you made it. Through the storm and rain, heartache and pain. Somehow I made it.
See, I'm glad that man, he didn't make the sunshine. For he may not let it shine on me. Oh, see, and I'm glad man didn't let the raindrops fall. 'Cause one of these days, he forget to water the grain. Oh, and that's why I'm glad that man, he didn't make me. Oh, Lord, 'cause he would surely, one day he surely destroyed me.